And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. What's going on? I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I know the week is off to an early start. It is Tuesday. It is our Tip Tuesday, but it's going to be a mixed bag of stuff today because it's going to be a short show today. I have a photo shoot in about 2 hours. So I need to get out of here and get to the photo shoot. But I didn't want to miss 2 days in a row. So yesterday, man, let's get out of the gate, right? We had such an amazing time at the golf tournament in Connecticut yesterday. And let me just bring you to the website. That's the best way to describe it. And so it was a fundraiser golf tournament for the Dare Greatly Foundation. And honors the legacy of Sergeant Tanner Ramanos. And I got to meet the family, all the people, mom, family, aunties, cousins. Everyone was there, uncles. And I was able to donate my photography time to support this charity that works for raising money for high school students and for their, to go off to higher education. And it helps a lot of young people with scholarships. So that was my duty yesterday. How I ended up meeting these wonderful folks is through Adrian. My son Adrian used to be co-workers with the family. The young man's family, and also a lot of the uncles and aunts and all that other stuff. He used to work with them as well, and they worked in the same corporation. And so I was able to help out in sharing my photography, and it was really an amazing day out on the golf course yesterday. So it was beautiful. It was brilliant, and I'll share some photos, a couple of photos from yesterday. Took a lot of images, and so working through those, and we'll try to get those to them today for their social media, and then work on the rest. Probably took about 1,000 photos. Clients and people never get all the thousands or the 2,000 photos that we take. This is my first time actually photographing a golf tournament, and it was intense. It was a lot of work. I got my workout on yesterday. This is the hat that they gave me yesterday. In regards, Tanner was also part of the Air Force, and so got this little cap and everything. And also because I used to be in ROTC, Air Force ROTC, and the Honor Guard back in Aviation High School. My background is aviation, and so this was also dear to my heart as well in both ways. And so, yeah, I was at one time going to be in the Air Force or the Naval Academy. So did not go to either one of them, but I still have fond memories of my drill commands, and I was one of the drill instructors. And back in the day, we used to do color guard work and spinning the rifles and all that stuff you see in the movies with the guns and the Queen Anne salutes. And so yeah, that's what I used to do back in high school. And but so fond memories, and it just brought back memories for myself as well. If you're in the building, make sure you hit the likes. Welcome again to Touch Base Daily. It is our Tip Tuesday. And this is where we hang out and talk different tips, usually on photography. But today there's a headline that's in the news, and I wanted to talk about that was really is making way in so far. I have not seen the mainstream media talk about it, and we'll talk about that. And that is the young man that was found hanging in Mississippi. So we'll talk about that. And again, like I said, the show is going to be short. So we'll just hit on those two notes for today. And I am definitely concerned that I'm always, before I dive in, let me just say hello to some folks. How about that? I see some folks in the building. Let's do that. I see Hannah is in the building. She says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. And Fifi gets the silver today with she has her hearts and hands out there. And then Chris R is in the building. Good morning with the bronze. And the wonderful GR Houston Jack work wife is in the building. She says good morning. And sometimes when I'm at these events, I wish I can like put you guys in a cart and just drag you all with me, or in some van or bus or whatever, because I think the exposure to some of this stuff is really interesting. And yeah, so that I was just thinking about you guys. I was thinking about Gwendolyn and yesterday. I said, Gwendolyn. I wonder what Gwendolyn would be doing if she was. I think Gwendolyn would be a great. I mean, because she has a good eye for shooting, and she has her big. She always wears her big lenses for her Canon lenses and stuff. So I thought about her yesterday when I was out there on assignment. Janet is in the building. She says, "Greetings, Ron, Hannah, and everyone. Touch base friends." And Kelly A is in the building today. What's going on, Kelly A? Make sure you hit the likes again. I will keep reminding you. Please hit the likes. All of us have to say it on YouTube. Hit the likes. Hit the likes. Elise says, "Good morning, everyone." And our wonderful Elise is traveling and doing her thing, and also encouraging folks. I was like, make sure you get lots of B-roll. Gwendolyn has got me into B-roll mindset. So anytime I know that someone's on a YouTube channel or on Facebook or going to be sharing something on social media, I say, get the B-roll. And that's because Gwendolyn has schooled me well. She's an excellent work wife. And speaking of work wives, yesterday, my daughter-in-law became my assistant. And I love my Nancy. Some of you guys had a chance to see her on the Instagram footage yesterday. Was that an oxymoron? Did I say yesterday twice in one sentence? Yes, that was an oxymoron. So you got to see Nancy yesterday as she was assisting me photographing the event. And so it truly was a family affair. Adrian also not only is very close with the family, but he also helped with the fundraising and partnerships and all that stuff to really help these amazing young people with their education. And but I had the wonderful Nancy Florence with me, and she and I were just rolling around the golf course. And I mean, the golf course was huge, and we were like, it was a beautiful establishment. I mean, if you've seen the videos from yesterday on my Instagram, you will see that the venue is beautiful. It's called The View, VUE, in I think it's Haddam, Connecticut. Beautiful establishment. The people were kind, and anything I needed, they were there for me. They were like, "Do you need this? Do you need that? How can we help?" So I love it. I love it when people roll out the red carpet for everyone. That's really joining together and joining forces for for something that's going to benefit many other people. And I'm always on board when people are investing in young people. That's been my thing pretty much all my life. Being a youth director, being a part of Drum and Bugle Corps when I was growing up, being a part of Boy Scouts when I was growing up, being a Cub Scout when I was growing up. I've always been in participation of, growing with youth or then becoming a leader to support youth. And it is so important for teachers. Our teachers are so under cherished, because does that make sense? Under cherished. Our teachers are responsible for the greatest commodity in our country and to the world. Greater than gold, greater than diamond, greater than anything on earth are young people. Our young people are the greatest commodity on the planet. And teachers and instructors and principals and youth leaders, youth directors, youth pastors, all are responsible for the shaping of our future when it comes to our young people. And I will always support those, companies or benefits, or in this case, the foundation. Here's my pass, my little pass, and my name on the volunteer, the photographer. And it was a great day out in the sun. The weather was perfecto, as they say. Okay, let's see some more folks in the building. I see Kimmy Kim is in the building. She says, morning, everyone. And Elise is in the building. I already mentioned her already. And she's saying hello to everyone else. And Adrian Florence is in the building. I have the greatest times when I'm with my sonny boy. I love him to pieces. And I have to tell you, even though he's here in the building, it is a beautiful thing internally I call it your joy monitor. I mean, how much joy we have in the world. My joy is exceedingly, like, in full abundance when I watch Adrian and his life and and a lot of decisions he's made as an adult, as a parent, as a son, as a leader, as a co-worker, as a boss. He has many hats. And I go and say, wow, look at him performing so well in all of these areas. And it just makes me proud. Makes me very proud. And he's been making some amazing decisions in his own personal life, and he and Nancy. And and yesterday was a great time to just be with Nancy. Because usually it's Adrian, Nancy, and myself. But yesterday I had Nancy all to myself. And Nancy, man, we will got the joy of why my son Adrian fell in love with Nancy, because we laughed so much. We just kept laughing every time we were rolling over. We were, because she's driving, and by the I guess the second hole, she's now got it. She's got the golf cart under control. She's like, now she knows how to do it, so she's just doing her thing. And we were zooming past these potholes and ditches and craters and going across the green when we're not supposed to. Dodging a golf ball that was flying in the sky, and they said, oh, pop! And I was like, well, that just missed us. So we were laughing from the moment we always laugh. I mean, there's never a dull moment in their home. And we laughed so much, but we really got to laugh yesterday. And when I got home, I was so exhausted. I was like, where is my bed? Where is my bed? And but it was a great celebration yesterday. Yes, G says, I love a B-roll. Yes, she does. I'm just switching over to another subject, but Gwendolyn, when she goes somewhere, if she's going anywhere, she's saying, Ron, I gotta get my B-roll. So all you content creators, we know what you're talking about, the B-roll. Every content creator loves a B-roll. I see in here, Mr. DS is in the building. He says, good morning, Ron, and the TBD fam. DS here. And let's see here. David Mascaro is in the building. What's going on, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. He says, morning all, Mr. David Mascaro. I love rolling my R's when it comes to Moscato. And let's see here. Kimmy Kim says, saw a little. They had wall-to-wall windows. It looked like an event venue and looked like it was a super view of the golf course. Yes, those windows were huge. They were huge, and there was a view. There was a view. I mean, there wasn't like major mountains. I mean, it's Connecticut, but they had the rolling hills in the background. And it was so funny because you're looking out, but people that are outside the glass doors and glass windows, they can't see in. And it was funny because it was Adrian who went outside and was trying to get back in, and he was like, "Wait a minute, can anybody see me?" So he's banging on the glass so people can open the door. But the venue was really nice. I think I heard someone said that they had just had a renovation, and so I'm not sure if were they talking about the place I was in or somewhere else, but they were talking about a renovation. Food, Mr. DS says, it was nice seeing you in your element yesterday, Ron. I was in my happy place. There is nothing more exciting to me than photographing the world, especially photographing things that matter. That's why my motto is focus on what matters. And that's my new motto for life. Focus on what matters. And let's see here. La 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 la. And Kelly says, "Oh, Ron, beautiful." Potholes on the golf course. No, they had these like these little where the golf course go, the golf carts go on. Some of them had some potholes, and we were like, oh. And then also some of the paths were rocky and gravel or slight gravel. Let's see here. Hannah says, Adrian, God bless you big time with Nancy. Indeed. He says that. He says big facts, Hannah. Nancy is the greatest gift. I mean, she is, but they are a great gift to one another. I get tickled pink. Well, not pink, maybe dark chocolate. I become a dark chocolate person when I watch them interact. They are so funny to me, and they are the same as they were when they first got together. Age, I think it's like, what was it, 20? Is it 25 years ago? Woo! Well, not 25 that they've been married, but they, he fell in love with her way before then. I always talk about the moment he comes running in the house, Pop, 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 I found my wife. And I was like, okay. You're a little too young to be thinking about your wife, but I did not say that. You support young people. Did not challenge him. You support young people. You let them express themselves. And who knew? Who knew? He was right. He was right. Yeah. See, look, they met 31 years ago. Wow. 31 years ago. I remember him coming through these doors right here in these doors. Was it these doors? Yeah. Was it this door? Or was it St. James Place? I remember him coming here too. He was here. Yeah. I've been here 30 years. This was around that time. But he came running in the doors. And I was like, okay, wow. And now here she is. Still with us in our family, being the blessing that she is. And Elise says, that's wonderful, Adrian. Elise, you and Adrian have that in common, that you guys fell in love with, young. You were young when you guys fell in love. And you were young when you felt like God put in your heart that this person was going to be your spouse. So it exists, y'all. It exists. We got 2 people in this community that it exists that I know so far. I mean, I think Kimmy Kim told me the same story about she and her husband. I think they've been together for a while too. A while. Kimmy Kim. So a lot of folks in this community have beautiful, long-lasting marriages, and yeah. Okay, so let's talk about real quick. I don't say real quick, but as you guys participate in this, and I was just feeling some kind of way. But I first saw the first posting from D.L. Hughley on his Instagram, and I was like, what is going on? And then I saw it post up. Then it came up on someone else's. Then it was on Joy Reid's. And then it was on someone else's. Then it was on another. And then I saw it was a flood last night of this story online, social media. I had not heard, sorry, wrong page, wrong one. It was, yeah. And this is from the Mississippi Free Press. Delta State University student's body found hanging in tree, no foul play suspected. And then it goes on the story. Delta State University staff found the body of Damar Trevon Trey Reed, a 21-year-old student, hanging from a tree in the middle of campus on Monday morning. His death set off a wave of mourning across the university and prompted the cancellation of centennial events for the 100-year-old institution. And then it goes on. Delta State University police held a press event Monday afternoon announcing that no foul play is currently, I'm glad they put that in there, currently suspected in Reed's death, and no threat to campus exists. At approximately 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:05 a.m., University police was notified of what appeared to be the body of a Black male hanging from a tree at Center Campus near the DSU pickleball course, said Delta State University Chief of Police Michael Pillar. We later identified the male subject to be Damar Trevon Reed or Grenada, Mississippi. What do you guys think of this, y'all? Because I'm from a different I am from an older I'm like this generation in between two, a high-tech, educated, like in the smarts of digital world. And I'm from the old school of the analog and people that dealt with, the civil rights movement. I am also connected to the Black Lives Matters and the advocates for our people who have died in strange ways or by the hands of the police. And we've seen this throughout history. I can tell you from the moment I joined Aviation High School is majority white. And when I went to school at Aviation High School, I remember there was the hanging of this, I think it was the 7 young people in Atlanta. And the white kids in my school made fun of it, some of them. So much so that they went out and thought it was a smart idea to have T-shirts made and celebrating the hanging of these kids. They didn't expel them, which I thought they should have been expelled. They suspended them and slapped them on the wrist. Give them a little, don't do that again. Take those shirts. Nope, you cannot have those shirts on in this school. So I've dealt with racism in many ways from my high school years to present day. I've read many stories of these young people in the South, in the North. There was one incident maybe a couple of decades ago in Connecticut. There have been incidents in New York. So this is not just confined to the South. It's just not. This is anywhere there are bad white people, and there's usually, as to say, and there's some Black young person that happens to be, and I hate using this phrase, in the wrong place at the wrong time, because in America, you should be able to go wherever you need to go and wherever you should be and wherever you want to go. So I really do fight against that thought of the wrong place at the wrong time. No, they were just bad people acting out something wrong during that time. And Elisa's put it here. It says, it will be interesting to hear the medical examiner's report. They said also one of his limbs were broken by someone mentioned in a interview yesterday or this morning. Gwendolyn says, he was at school, wasn't he? Yes, he was. I know they were cameras on campus. Yes, there's cameras everywhere. Jazzy says, I think what a lot of people forget, that just because civil rights laws were passed doesn't mean the mindset of the people who taught their children to hate. And can we marinate on what Jazzy just said? Can we marinate? Because we're talking about him. Can we marinate on this thought? Is that just because civil rights was passed does not mean their children and their grandchildren still live among us with passions of hate. I will say passions of hate. You see it. I don't know if you guys have been seeing. I've been limiting my intake online because, I can be a news junkie. Adrian will tell you I am the ultimate news junkie. When he was younger, he came to the house. When he used to come to the house, I used to have 3 monitors on this wall, big giant screen in the middle, 3 monitors on the top, and I used to have news going on at all times. That's what I used to have. But I'm always been a news consumer. I want to know what's going on everywhere in the world. But Jazzy, let's meditate on that. Let's marinate on that thought that there's so many hateful people. We know they exist because look at where we are. Look at where we are in this country where people just hate to be hate. And they celebrate people like Trump or Kirk, that they can just say whatever they want. They bask in that mindset of we can just say whatever we want. And we love Trump because he says what we want to say. Or we've heard interviews. Charlie says what we want to say. We can't say it. We would not say it in polite society, but Charlie did. So we love Charlie. But it is amazing that how many years, over all the years I've been alive, it's always one of these incidents, if not several. Every year or every other year or maybe every 3 years, something like that, where there's a Black person, Black young man, like the young man, I forgot what state it was. I think it was in Georgia. They found him on a farm in an obscure place, and they say, oh, there was nothing, suspicious there. And then he was on his way. He was on his way to having a scholarship I think if he had not received the scholarship, I do believe he had received the scholarship, and he was on his way to play football. And I do believe this was in Georgia. And later on, they found out that there were some suspicious stuff. And then I'm not sure if they ever solved that case, but they realized that there were the property was to some folks that were not, that I do believe had racist backgrounds. Don't remember the whole story. This happens over and over in America. And hello, this is Mississippi. I'm sorry to say, but Mississippi, I do believe statistically, I'm not, so someone correct me, Mississippi has the largest accounts of lynching of all the states over the last 100 or 250 years. Mississippi's always been known for the lynchings. And I'm not saying this is a lynching yet, but it does sound like one and feel like one. The reason why when we in the Black community, for those that are outside the Black community, we have these conversations where it is very unlikely. It is not our trademark, as you want to call profiling, social profiling. It is not a typical occasion. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule that Black men will commit suicide in such a manner. Or I should say unalive themselves. Can you say the word suicide? I think you can say the word suicide. Or unalive themselves. Black men is not historically something that is like our profile. There are Black men that do unalive themselves. That's not this. But hanging from a tree is not really our MO, right? It's not really some. Most Black men, young men, Black kids, young kids, Black folks. No, most of us are not thinking, where's the tree? Where's the nearest tree to end it all? It's just not. That's just not in our mindset. Yeah, other people may have that in their mindset, but that's not how we're wired. Jazzy says, we have to stop acting like it was a long time ago. Civil rights was passed in 1964. My mother graduated high school in 1964. I was born in 1964. That's right. It's just over. It's just 61 years ago. Gwendolyn says, and what about those twins found on the mountaintop or something? Yes, there was another situation. Was that in Georgia also? That was in Georgia, I do believe. That was just 3 weeks ago. The twins. So we know there's something going on. There's also a lot of young Black kids, young teenagers, young adults are missing, coming up missing. Hundreds, not tens, not ones, not onesies. Hundreds are missing over the last 2 months. Something is happening in the country. Something is happening. And I don't understand why the media is not on top of it. Well, I do understand. It doesn't sell papers. Well, there's no papers right now. It doesn't sell social media time. It doesn't sell advertisements. Jazzy says, and now your sons, we have learned nothing. Yeah. Kimmy says, this is exactly what I thought, Ron. Not going to do it that way. We just don't do it that way. Like I said, Black men unalive themselves. Black women unalive themselves. It's just that we don't look for a tree. It's just not us. It's just not our MO. Anthony says, good morning. Kimmy Kim says, scary. She says, Ron Foster, it was March 2025 in Georgia. The twins found, it was March 2025 on Bell Mountain in Georgia. I knew it was in Georgia. Man, the months are gone by so fast. That was already March. But I remember the incident. I remember reading about it in Georgia. I believe that was somewhere near Stone Mountain. Bryce is in the building. And I see Mimi's in the building. Mimi. G says, there continues to be no care or concern about Black and brown bodies. Period. Kimmy Kim says, we have to really talk to our kids about the issue of safety. We always have to, but we still must. I will say, Kimmy, even more so. I've had this conversation with one of my friends. I mean, one of my closest dear friends. There, she's white. I spent time with her in South Africa. We traveled together. We've done safari together. She's one of my best friends in the world. And she wanted me to come visit down to, her, to her home one time. And I said to her, I said, she said, why don't you just drive on down? I said, well, the climate in the country, I don't feel like I should be in a car by myself driving around. And and that was the first time ever uttering those words I would say, since maybe when I started driving when I was, 20 years old. I was 20 years old, I started driving. And I used to get in the car and drive everywhere. I drove to Mount Vermont. I've driven to Georgia. I've driven to the mountains. I've driven all over the place in America. And I would just get in my car and go. I really never thought about, I knew that there were bad police officers in the South. I remember, one of my friends who's white and blue. My buddy, his name is Whitey, in the stock exchange. His name is Whitey. And the reason why they call him Whitey is because when he was born, his hair was totally white and he has blue eyes. So he's like, and his wife is extreme. At the time we were all in our 20s back then. His wife also blonde and blue eyes. Now they made great money because they worked at the stock exchange, but they also came from great families. When I say great families on the stock exchange, they had money. They came from good positions in life. And his kids, Adrian remembers. Adrian, you remember? And his kids, he had twin boys. And their hair was just like his hair when he was born. So they were little whiteys. One time, he and I were hanging out somewhere. I don't know where we were. And I said, Whitey, I said, do you believe? We just having a conversation like this, called him Whitey. And all the white people looked at me like, but we were good friends. To this day, we still talk online and on Facebook. But I will never, and they lived in Connecticut. And they were what I call the apple pie what's it called? A Norman Rockwell painting. They had a beautiful Volvo. He had just bought a Volvo. He had just became a specialist at the stock exchange. And he drove down to Myrtle Beach because he was going to play golf. Speaking of golf, because everyone at the exchange loved to play golf. So he was taking his family down to Myrtle Beach to play golf to this fancy golf, club. Anyway, he's like almost to Georgia, somewhere between Virginia and Georgia. The cops pull him over. And the interrogation that he got because his license plate said Connecticut. So it's not just, I know some of these places, not just Black people. I know just being a Northerner in some of these places could be dangerous. And I remember when he came back, he and I talked again. Whitey was he was a good friend. Like I said, we still chat back and forth once in a while on Facebook. To this day. And I remember when he told me the incident, and I said, "You got to be kidding me!" I said, "Well, you know how we black folks now. You know how we black folks feel all the time when we're traveling about. Well, there's always in a corner of our mind that a police officer could, especially for we Northerners, when we're in the South, we are on double alert. Our antennas are up like all over the place. But when he had that incident, that was the first time he had ever experienced Southern racism. And he could not believe. He is as white as they come. He was like, I'm blonde, blue eyes, and I have, and he said that sheriff or deputy or whoever he was said, boy, what are you doing down here? Boy, how long you going to be down here? Boy, when are you leaving? And I mean, just made him, feel some kind of way. And but I remember the conversation. He says, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Because most people only think this stuff is in the movies or is someone else. So racism is very much alive in America. It ain't gone nowhere. It's still here. If not, I don't know if you've been looking at the news when I've been watching the news, the thousands and thousands of young, I'm going to say young people, young people that are spewing out the most ugly, racist, bigotry stuff. This week, I should say last week, several of my friends reached out to me saying how they had to cut friends off. They were like, Ron, I felt like something was wrong with me for a moment because the stuff that they were saying, I couldn't believe that these were people that I knew and that were my friends at one point. I had to cut them off this week. Another buddy sends me a text, Ron, this is a rough week. I had to cut my friends off on Facebook. Another friend called me in the morning on Saturday. Ron, this is a rough week. I had to cut my friends off, what I thought were my friends. Racism is an ugly thing. And it goes deep in some cores. And then there are people that practice it. And I almost want to say, maybe I should just say it. I find it very hard for people that do practice racist things, the way they speak, the way they judge, because they often will say, oh, people say, oh, they think they're racist. I mean, they're doing something. They don't know that they're racist. I don't believe that. Because most of the time when people are doing these racist stuff, these racist things, they will say something like this, because I've heard it many times in my life. I got black friends. As if that doesn't make you a racist when you are saying racist things. Or my wife is black. So you could be racist and still have a black wife. I've seen it done many times. So when people tell me that, oh, they don't know that they're racist, I don't believe it. Because they wouldn't be prefixing their words to kind of like cushion the blow. They know they're racist. They know that what they're saying is unacceptable. So this case in Mississippi, Now, I don't know what's going to be the outcome of this case, but my intuition says is something more than just a young man waking up in the morning and deciding to go to the school circle, like right in the middle of the campus, and hang himself from a tree. I can't seem to wrap my brain around that thought. I can't wrap myself around that thought. She says, some folks really don't know because it's acceptable in their social circles. But okay, maybe this is maybe I'm giving maybe there's a 1%, maybe there's 2% that don't know, or maybe, but in this day and age, America is everything about America is about race. When you go apply for your job, you check out boxes. Everything in America is based on race. It's the only country that has every level of society, every level, everything is based on race. Elise says, of course they know what they are saying and doing. I find it hard to believe that they don't. Like I said, I've gone to school with, I went to almost all, my school was predominantly white. And don't get me wrong, and this again, I will not say all white people are racist. That's not I will never say that. I have never said that. I have a lot of, I know, right? Sounds opposite. I do have a lot of white friends. I do hang out with a lot of white folks growing up, and I've had white people in my family. Some of my closest friends in the world are white. But I also, my closest friends who are white are real about their position, about their people. My friend who I hang out with South Africa, she's always pissed off with white people. I said, Vivian, you pissed? I said that. I'm going to name the name. I said, you are more pissed off than I am. And she says, I can't stand them, Ron. I can't stand. And she would turn beat. I mean, like this little piece of paper here. She would get this red. And she would be so upset. One time in South Africa, and we'll close. One day in South Africa, I was on safari. We had just arrived to the safari, and we got a ranger. He was an old school apartheid, white, young. He was young. He wasn't an old man. This was a young man, and he was an apartheid breathing being. And so it's our first night in the bush. We're driving our Range Rover, and we're heading out to see the giraffes. And this dude says some really off-the-wall racist stuff from his apartheid brain. My friend, her husband at that time, was getting angrier and angry. Well, we knew we couldn't react because we knew we were in the bush. There was no one out there to rescue us with a man with a rifle. So we knew we had to wait till we looked at each other. He looked at me. I looked at him. He says, we'll take care of this when we get back. And my buddy Jeff laid in to the owner of that establishment. I won't mention the establishment name. And he said, This man is not to be seen on the property while we are here. First of all, he should be fired. He says, I and my friend, he didn't even realize that my friend, the person that we invited to this trip is Black. He said, I am embarrassed, I am insulted. And he said, this guy, I had never seen Jeff this angry. And first of all, he's not a man of emotions. He was spewing out all kinds of words. I was like, he was mix matching cuss words and all kinds of stuff. He was furious. And so that was the other point of as I close. White people have to take a stand. As we will always say, this racism in America is a white person's problem. It is a white collective problem. And the only way to solve racism in America is that white people who are not racist must take a stand, even if it hurts them, even if it brings, you're going to lose something. You have to take a stand. This racism in America is a white problem. What I love about South Africa, when I'm down in South Africa, is that people say, oh, Ron, you got to deal with apartheid. You got to deal with racism, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they're racist there, just like everywhere in the world. Anywhere, I don't know if y'all saw what happened in UK this weekend. Thousands came out for their racist agenda. And most I have British friends, they will say, oh, Ron, I didn't experience racism until I came to America. I say, lies. Lies. Don't you tell me you didn't experience racism. There's racism in UK. They're the mother of this crap. I mean, America obviously took it to a whole nother level. But don't tell me that you are in the UK and you have never experienced racism. Come on. Who you lying to? Who you talking to? Yes. Yes, Lisa. And they were chanting Charlie in England too. Exactly. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. Anywhere in the world, there are white people. Sad to say, somewhere in the mix will be a racist. Same thing when I'm in Iceland. Most of the people in Iceland are wonderful. But I ran across my racist Icelandic people. See, I've traveled to both places. I travel in Africa. I travel in Europe. This is a white problem. And white people have to take a stand. White people have to take a stand against the racism, the bigotry. The news media is not sharing this story because of racism, because of bigotry, because they don't give a hoot about Black people or people in color, that people that wear our skin. That's where we are. And we will be talking about this a whole lot. You know why we're going to be talking about it a whole lot? Because it's in our face every freaking day. Every day. And now they're coming out the woodworks because of the Charlie Kirk killing. I mean, did you see the night of that? They beat this poor Black man. He was on his way home from work. They beat him to a pulp. And the people were screaming. One part of the white people, there wasn't enough white people to even defend the Black guy that was getting beat up this last week. He was on his way from work. And this crowd, as they always do, white racists, white forget the nationalists, the white racists in this country, as they always do. Now, even after finding out that the shooter was white. They still try to threaten the black colleges. The black people had nothing to do with this shooting. And they go after black people. And some people think that this Mississippi event is related to it. They think it's no coincidence that this happened. I think a couple of days, well, this happened yesterday. They found him yesterday. That is so close to the proximity of what happened with Charlie Kirk. We have to teach all of our young boys, all of our young girls, we have to repeat to ourselves over and over again safety measures of being in public. We are in danger as long as these people are around. And they're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They refuse to learn. They refuse to learn a new way of living. Racist people are stuck in their racist mode. They're going to stay there. They pitch a tent. They love it. They thrive off of it. It makes them up. They feel alive. The racists. But it's up to us to teach our boys and girls how to deal with these folks. And and like someone mentioned earlier, we have to have these conversations with all of our kids, no matter how young they are. Don't say, oh, I don't want my kid to have I don't want to tell them about this because no. Every black child, every child of color needs to know that racist people exist. So this is Tip Tuesday. Now, I didn't give you any photography tips today. Here's my biggest tip for you today. Talk about what's going on in this country. I know the news could be overwhelming, but our young people need to hear what is going on. And because you have the greater perspective of what's going on, no one can teach your child like you can. No one can teach each other like we can. We learn something, we share something. We get educated on something, we share it. Thank you, Jazzy. Ron, every child needs to know racism exists, not just the black ones. Every child. I'm talking, I know, yes. Every child. Everyone needs to know. So on this wonderful Tip Tuesday, black kids, white kids, like I said, I love the fact that I have lots of white friends. Not because it's some badge or honor to have white friends. No. My white friends, I love them just as much as I love my black friends. And vice versa. I will fight for them just like I fight for everyone else. This foundation, the gentleman that was, that lost his life, he's white. Adrian didn't say, hey, I'm only going to support a black man, a black child, a black family, and help them with their education. We who know love, I always going to go back to love. If we practice love and we use love as our ruler, how we measure things, it will keep us solid. At the end of the day, it will keep us solid. It will keep us on the right track. It'll help us say what we need to say through the prism, through the filter of love. Our white friends, they feel uneasy. They do. But you got to let them know it's okay. It's okay. We feel uneasy. And I love that my white friends will tell me. They're like, Ron, this is some of my wife. Adrian was telling us a story about something that happened to him in Dubai and with car yesterday. Some of our white friends, some of the friends that we have, all of us, and I mean, I'm sure in the audience, you have white neighbors and white friends, and vice versa, feel just as angered, if not more, when it happens. So, I just hate that we're here. I just hate. I thought we would be better than this by this time. I can't believe I'm fighting. Gwendolyn says this so often. She says, I can't believe my grandbabies are going to fight the same fight that we had to fight. I can't believe we're still fighting the same fight, the same subject. Yeah. We are here still, y'all. Racists are going nowhere. And they will continue to pass on their hatred because there's a certain glee and passion that they get from it. But we are better. We are better. What did Elise say? Elise says, I will leave this for everyone to think about. They count on our love and forgiveness. Kimmy says, knowing my grown sons don't particularly watch the news, when I hear stories like this, I pass it on. So guys, be encouraged. I know it's hard to find some encouragement some days. I know. I just know it is. But we can do it. We got each other. We have one another. We have support. We have friends. We have family. We have people that we can have conversations with. Conversation is good. You got to get this stuff out of yourself. You got to get it off your brain. If you feel some kind of way, talk about it. You'll feel better. You'll feel better. If you're hurting because of this, talk about it. You'll feel better. Born around the civil rights era, felt the gains, now back to crazy in my lifetime. All in our lifetime. Elise says that's the strongest weapon against us. We're kind people. And I'm going to leave that one alone because when I was in Ghana, I learned about this piece that Elise is talking about in a way that I had never seen before. And it changed my perspective forever. That's their strongest weapon against us. Our kindness and our love. Our ability to forgive. Our ability to embrace the other. Right? Wasn't it Christopher Columbus that said, hey, these people, they're kind. They're nice. We can exploit them. We can take control of them. So leave it on that note. Guys, thank you for joining me today. I hope you will be encouraged. Hug someone together. Hug someone today. And if you're Black and you have white friends, go to have a conversation with them. Find out how they feel about what's going on. You might learn something. And if you're white in this community, go to someone that's Black and a person of color and say, how do you feel? How do you feel? Because we all are feeling something. We are all feeling something. And it's best that we talk about it so that we can have each other's perspectives. So we can become better people. Okay, guys, I'm not even doing announcements. I gotta get to this photo shoot. I will talk to you guys later. Love ya, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.